Hello and welcome to the Back Nine Report, where Fred Altvater and I check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, reviews. Hey, we cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Now, we're going to be talking about the amateurs and specifically what Augusta National has meant to the development of the amateurs, specifically in Asia. And Fred, we had Hideki Matsuyama won the Masters, and he won the Asia Pacific Amateur, which was created by Augusta in 2010 and 2011. He became the Loam in 2011, now a winner, and they have also created the Augusta National Women Amateur, which was won by a countrywoman from him, Subasha Kajatani. So we have two Japanese. I mean, Japan is celebrating, but what does it mean, this, for the amateurs in Asia Pacific?
Well, I really want to commend Augusta National for having the foresight to start these big amateur tournaments. So I'm going to start out talking about the Asia Pacific, which they started in 2009, along with the RNA and the Open Championship, um, and to promote golf in primarily Asia, to promote amateur golf. And so the first prize is an exemption into the Masters. And we've seen some phenomenal players come over here over the years, but back in 2010, 2011, Hideki Matsuyama won the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship twice, back to back years. And in 2011, he was the low amateur at the Masters. Now he joins a very select group with names like Ben, Phil, Jack, and Tiger that were low amateur at the Masters and now own a green jacket. So very select group for Hideki to be in that. But this idea of starting these amateur tournaments, and I should add in there too that they've gone on to start the Latin American Amateur Championship. There's an interesting name for one of the winners there, Joaquin Niemann. He was never the low amateur at the Masters, but he stands a very good chance of winning the Masters someday. So it's really a big deal having these tournaments and getting these young players started in these big events with that kind of a prize. I'm just going to name a couple other amateurs, low amateurs that still have a legitimate shot of donning a future green jacket. 2012, it was Patrick Cantley. 2016, it was your boy Bryson. 2019, Victor Hovland. Those three guys all have a shot at winning a Masters championship at some point. One other guy still kind of has a chance, kind of. Matt Kucher was low amateur in 1998, and now at the age of 42, kind of running out of chances to add a green jacket to his wardrobe. Father Time's kind of creeping up on him. And Carlos, this tells you how old I am. I remember so clearly Matt Kuchar smiling his way around and just having a good old time playing as a young amateur at the Masters back in 1998. It was just so much fun to watch him because he was just smiling and having a great time. But the point is that the Masters, the USGA, and the RNA and the Open have done a marvelous job of creating interest and driving the game of golf in both Latin America and Asia. So what they're doing is working. And it doesn't stop just with the men, Carlos. As you mentioned, the Augusta National Women's Amateur was won by a young Japanese lady last week. And then we also have the drive, chip, and putt finals, which happened on Sunday. So for junior golfers under the age of 15, it's been a huge success. Thousands of kids compete in local and regional qualifiers to earn a spot in their age group at the drive, chip, and putt finals at Augusta National on Sunday prior to the Masters every year. And Carlos, 5 of the ladies that were in the Augusta National Women's Amateur were national finalists in the drive, chip, and putt competitions through the years. So it works. These kids start as juniors. They come up through all this stuff. And Augusta National's idea of bringing all these top women amateurs to Augusta from all over the world, Sweden, Europe, Asia, South America. I mean, they're from everywhere, right? They get to play, everybody gets to play a practice round on Friday, and then the top 30 compete in the finals on Saturday. Really, really good stuff. And as I've said before, Carlos, I really think this is one of the most, the Augusta National Women's Amateur is one of the most significant golf events ever organized. I think 20, 30, 40 years from now, we'll look back and say, oh my goodness, what a harbinger of time, that's going to bring about in women's golf. It's still in its infancy. It will become one of the major events in women's golf, and the greats will be judged by their performance in this event when they were amateurs. So Augusta National would be commended for the devotion to the amateur game and the promotion of the Latin American Championship, the Asia Pacific Amateur Championship, the Augusta National Women's Amateur, and the Drive Chip and Puck. All really, really great stuff, Carlos.
And it all starts by one of its co-founders, right? The ultimate amateur, Bobby Jones. And I think that's where they emphasize it from, because I was reading about Adam Scott saying that since he won the Masters and he's been coming back to the club, he says he sees how Fred Ridley and they emphasize so much on the amateur and development of the amateurs competitions, how they emphasize on it. One of those finalists, multi-finalists that of the Drive, Chip, and Putt, Mega Gani, now played in the Augusta National Amateur this year, and she says she remembers when she was there seeing Condoleezza Rice, which is also a member at Augusta, and how that impacted her. And now she's playing at the amateur level for the Augusta Women's National. So it's one thing when you have all the big majors, right? But the one that it's always, and I'm not going to use the word most revered, but it's the most iconic of all of them. With all due respect to all the others, the Masters is the one that starts it all over, and it's the one that everybody wants to play in it. It's the one that has the whole mystic and the aura over it. So once those youngsters get that opportunity to get there, that's one thing that drives them. And once they get there and see an experiment like Alvaro Ortiz was playing with Bernhard Langer that round a few years ago, he was like, oh my God, I mean, this is amazing to be with this guy playing here, and all the things that they can, get all the information, all the knowledge they get. So it is something that we have to definitely commend to Augusta National for doing. I mean, the Latin America, you see what, like you mentioned, Joaquin Neiman, he's already there. We've seen how many other Latin American players are getting to the top of the leaderboard. Sebastian Munoz, another great player there. Abraham Answer, Carlos Ortiz. We're still seeing all these not amateurs, Latin American players. And with now Hideki's impact and Subasha Katajani winning also for Japan, I mean, it's just going to get started. Like you're mentioning, I think in 10, 20 years, we're going to say like, oh man, this is something that all the amateurs look forward because they know they're going to eventually become great players and maybe come back and win the Masters. So
Yeah,
Fred,
it's really good stuff. And in the women's game, in the women's amateur game, the U.S. women's amateur is the big major tournament, right? And a lot of amateurs, a lot of top amateurs qualify for the U.S. Women's Open, but not that many. But the U.S. Women's Amateur is the big deal for women amateur golfers. But very soon, the Augusta National Women's Amateur will be on par with the U.S. Women's Amateur, and they will be the two majors in women's amateur golf.
Definitely. I mean, and that's the thing. The women's don't have a tournament in Augusta. This is their opportunity to be there. So, hey, a great experience for them. So, anyway, we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest in golf news and information. And if you want to receive more information and be aware of it, hey, subscribe to our podcast on Back Nine Report TV. Thank you for joining us.